lovelies, welcome or welcome back. My name is Sophie and I live in the southwest of England and I am a traditional artist. And on this channel, I document my studio vlogs, setting up my Etsy business and running it from home whilst being a mum and working part-time. There is also book vlogs on this channel, sketchbook tours, and that's exactly what we're doing today. So I have finally finished this sketchbook, which has been going for a while. I think I started this in February 2023 and I finished it on the 26th of August 2024. And now this is a special sketchbook tour because it follows my journey through starting to do plein air and urban sketching. So you will, on the first page of the sketchbook is my very first plein air piece right through. So you'll see a real development. So we're going to go from this to this. So that is a real journey. And I'm excited to go through the sketchbook with you. But before we get into the sketchbook, I finished off the last few pages whilst at Davis Tent, which is a Christian outdoor festival. If you haven't watched my vlogs before, I'm a Christian artist. So I'm just going to insert a few clips here. It doesn't show the final pieces because obviously we'll look at the final piece together in the sketchbook, but it just shows me doing a few bits out and about, following up like I said, the last few pages of my sketchbook, because pretty much all of the pages in this sketchbook is documented over vlogs on the channel. So once you watch this sketchbook tour, please go back and watch some of the other vlogs, art vlogs, where I've documented actually completing the pieces in this sketchbook. But yeah, let's go off the Davis Tent now. And then when we come back, we will have a look at the sketchbook together. Honestly, guys, Davis Tent was so much fun. The weather wasn't as great as it normally is. We've gone to Davis Tent in the past. We didn't go last year because that's just after we had little man. But before that, we went, I think, about three times. But it's now moved closer to us in Wiltshire, which is just kind of like an hour and a half drive away. So we did come home each night because it's just easier with a toddler. But I did get a bit wet and cold, hence you can probably hear it on my voice. I'm a bit lurgy-fied. I've got a cold, so I've got a Lemsip. So we're going to do our best to get through the sketchbook tour, but just to warn you, there might be some few sniffles and coughs along the way, but let's jump into the sketchbook. Okay, guys, so this is my travel sketchbook that I took around with me. It's an A5 mixed media sketchbook. I'm going to link it down below. It's hardcover, so it's stayed up pretty well with being in backpacks and suitcases and on my little travels. I will tag these artists down below, but I believe this is Lee Ellickson. I think this is Apple Cheeks, and I think this is Lunar Isle, but I will tag them down below. So yes, this is a Strathmore sketchbook, and let's jump straight on into it. So I started it on the 14th of February 2023 to the 26th of August 2024, so a decent amount of time. Again, I kept this sketchbook purely for when we were out and about. So the first page is my very first attempt at doing art outside. But although it wasn't fully outside, so again, this was on one of my very first YouTube videos, maybe my second YouTube video on here. and we went to Cheddar Gorge, but it was actually not a very nice day, so we did it from the car. But it was my putting my toe in the water of doing outdoor plein air. So this one is just basically using watercolors. Again, all of these art materials I will tag down below, but this was a watercolor set that I had with some pencil over the top. You will see that I've expanded my art supplies as we've gone on. Just with some fine liner over the top as well, some black fine liner. I really do enjoy outlining things in black. I think that is my style. I really think it just finishes off a piece. But for a first go, I don't think that is too bad. So this is the same day. So we moved up into the gorge. And this is using Ecoline brush markers. I got a set that is all shades of grey. And this was me using them for the very first time. You can see here there's some little mountain goats down there. And it's not too bad for like a first go at using brush markers and doing a really quick sketch again from the car. And then the first trip we took with this sketchbook was to London. We went to Windsor Castle and Hampton Court Palace. So this is at Windsor Castle. And again, I've got a whole vlog documenting that trip. And what's super, super cool is that the sister of this soldier actually reached out to me after I posted this on Instagram to say, that's my brother, because I showed a clip of him marching. So that was so cool that she got to see, and she showed it to her brother as well, got to see the piece of art that I made of him. And again, this is using the Ecoline markers and just a red, I think this is a V pen. I think I've got one of those pens here. Yeah, it's one of these ones. V sign pen, I really like these. They're kind of like felt tippy pens. Work really, really well. And obviously, because everything else is in blacks and greys, that red really pops. So really happy with that. And I did a little swatch there of, again, the grey Ecoline set. So this actually does work quite well as a nice spread. So this is, I don't think I could be able to show it all on camera. So this is just one double page spread that I did of Windsor Castle itself. I'm really happy with this. So this is the first time that I experimented with my neocolors that I just purchased at the time and using them wet and dry. So I use neocolor 2s and they're water soluble, so you can add water to them and they kind of act similar to kind of like watercolors, or you can just use them dry where they're like a wax crayon or oil pastel. So I did the top in my Ecoline brush pen and then a fine liner to outline it. And then here for the foliage, I just layered up different neocolors. I added water, then went over again with the neat. And then there's just the little pool there at the bottom. Especially this top half, I think it works really, really well. And I'm really, really pleased with the effect that I got of Windsor Castle. And I think, yeah, I was really, really happy with that one. This is a mixed bag, this sketchbook. Sometimes I nailed it, sometimes I really didn't. This is a page where I really don't think I did. So this was in the shopping centre, Windsor Royal Shopping Centre. And again, I think I did this live on my YouTube. You can see it coming together right in front of you. We were sat having a drink after we went around the castle. And it was good in the fact that this really was the first time I did a whole page, because these ones, although I started them like kind of out and about, I finished them off when we were back at our hotel, whereas this one I completely in the shopping centre. So this really was urban sketching. So I was pleased that I managed to do that. Obviously, it's a big thing, sketching in public with people looking. So this really was, although it's not my best work, in terms of growing in confidence, it was really good for me. But obviously, looking at it, it's not that great quality, although I do like the leaves on the plant. And this was just using my set of these V pens as well. So these come in a set of red, blue, green and black. So I just use those and just with an Ecoline brush marker at the back. And this one kind of bringing in the travel journaling element to this sketchbook. So this was just a sticker I got and some of the receipts I got from the shop, just 13th to 14th of May 2023. Again, not a very pretty spread, but again, recording where we've been to. So this is a spread that I did based on all the little details that I saw at Hampton Court Palace. So for this, I used this graphite disc, and it's water soluble. So you can use it just as a disc or just add water to it. So the darker lines is it just using it as a disc, and then the lighter bits is where I've added water to it. And you can really see the different tonal differences in them. Again, I'll link that disc down below. Also, if you're interested, if you go back on my channel, I'll try and link it at the end on the cards. I set up my travel journaling kit. I think you'll find that at the end of my Isle of Wight video, I went through my travel journaling supplies, and I show you all the supplies actually in that video if you're interested. So again, so this is just some of the detailing I saw in the woodwork, the fountain outside the main palace. So just kind of like lots of little details. I just put them together on one spread. So these were the Shire horses. So if you don't know, Henry VIII, who is one of the famous owners of Hampton Court Palace, who lived there a long time ago, he used to breed Shire horses, and he's one responsible for bringing a lot of the Shire horses to England. So we had a horse and carriage ride, and this was one of the views from the horse and carriage. I did this afterwards back at the hotel, so this wasn't done on site, but I am still pleased with how the horses turned out. I did this one while sitting in kind of like the cloisters of the palace. Again, on that video, you can see me doing this from start to finish, and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. The tonal colours of the brick is really true to life. And Hampton Court Palace, if you don't know, is a really cool palace to visit because it's a palace of two halves. So you have the Tudor side, which is very much Henry VIII, which was originally built by Cardinal Wolsey, one of the advisors to Henry VIII. After he died, Henry VIII took that over. Well, I think Cardinal Wolsey gave it to him before he died, but Henry VIII moved in, and then after he passed away, several kings and queens later, William and Mary, King William and Queen Mary, moved in, and they started transforming the palace. So on one side you have the Tudor image, and then on the other side you have this kind of more French style. But luckily they didn't get rid of all the Tudor side, so you still have those two halves. But please at least Google it to have a look, because it looks like two different palaces, but it's just one palace. So it's good that I could combine the two there, because one is obviously lots of honey coloured and browns, and the other side is very white, stone and marble. So a real contrast, and I'm glad I was able to capture that in that picture. So this is probably my most proud spread of this book. This was down when we were down in Plymouth. We were down in Plymouth from the 11th to the 22nd of June. And this was based on the graffiti that we saw. So I'm trying to show you the whole spread, but let's just start on this side. So there was lots of graffiti art on the buildings. Again, this is shown in a vlog. And I really wanted to capture it. And I love how I captured this octopus guy. And now re-seeing him, I really want to see if I can maybe turn him into a sticker or something. Let me know down below if you would like that, because I just think he's great. Along with, I think this is meant to be a seagull, but it looks a bit like a dove. I can't quite remember. Maybe it is a dove. Again, this is all based on the graffiti art that I saw. Individual graffiti art that I combined into one spread. That would be really cool as a dove. Maybe into a sticker again. Let me know down below. But again, this is just using those Ecoline brush markers. Brush markers is the best addition that I've had to my kind of urban sketching kit, because they're so portable, so easy to get out and use when you're out and about. And really quickly you get really good tonal values. So like in this portrait here of this lady, FYI, I'm just really terrible at drawing people. But for me, I'm actually quite pleased with this. Generally, I'm really not pleased with my pictures of people. I'm a lot better at objects and animals. But for me, I'm pretty pleased with how this turned out. And I really like how I was able to get the tonal values of her face in this one. So moving on to the next spread. So what I did with this one, I think I filmed me doing it. I pre-inked these pages because I've seen quite a few artists do that, where they pre-prepare their page before they go on a trip. So I did this before going down to Plymouth. And so these are based on some objects that I've seen around. This was a sculpture that I saw in the city, and this one was a mammoth, I guess, statue, reimagining of what a mammoth would be like in the box. As you can see, I got these freebie stickers from there, the Box Museum down in Plymouth. So I don't know how well they're going to show up on camera. So yeah, I used the Winsor & Newton inks, and then I drew over the top just with a fine liner. So that's the statue there, and this is the mammoth. I'm quite pleased with how they turned out. It was a good experiment. I enjoyed dripping the ink everywhere. As you can see, it pooled a bit in the middle. But it was a good experiment, and I think it's all about experimenting. And then this is a double page spread that I did of Plymouth Hoe. So I didn't do this on location. I did it in our Airbnb where we were staying. I tried out using masking fluid for the first time. It didn't quite work as well as I had hoped. I was hoping to get some ripples on the water. But there are like a few ripples there, I guess. So this is using watercolours and going over the top with luminance pencils and the neocolors again. I'm quite pleased with how I managed to get the different tonal values in the foliage around the lighthouse. Again, I think it's quite an impactful double page spread. And again, it's just me using, so this was, I think this was the first time that I used watercolors with the neocolors and the pencils over the top. So using those layering techniques, kind of the mixed media. My favorite part is just this little lone tree because I really like the shape that I was able to create on that one. But yeah, so that's a double page spread that I did here. Now this was my holiday down in Cornwall. I had really high hopes for doing loads of plein air down in Cornwall, but what I didn't anticipate, it was our first holiday with a baby, and it was a lovely holiday, but I did not have a lot of time for art. So I tried to do a lot in the evenings back at where we were staying, in the little bungalow we were staying. So I don't think any of these were done on location. So this is more the travel element of this sketchbook rather than kind of plein air, because it wasn't really plein air. And I'm not 100% happy with how these pages turned out, which is in complete contrast to how my Isle of Wight holiday did. So we'll see that later on. It'll be interesting to compare the two. But this was like just a front page for the holiday. So we were there for the 23rd to the 30th of September. There's just some stickers and images. So we went to the Cornish gold mine, and there's some little bits of gold. You could do like a kind of sieving activity. I doubt they're real gold, it's probably fool's gold, but it was quite fun to kind of reenact how they found the gold in the mines. So again, this is just neocolors. I think I might have used the graphite disc there again. So this is a piece that I did again just with neocolors. Again, this is I really like the sky here. This is the effect that you can get when you dilute those neocolor twos. I really like the sky here, and I really like the pops of pink in one of the tin mines. I love these tin mines. They're just synonymous with Cornwall. So it's a nice piece. Would have been better if I actually did it on location, but it's still a nice piece. Again, this is based on the mining history of Cornwall. This is a piece, a sculpture that I saw whilst we were visiting Lapa Valley, which is one of the attractions down there, because Lapa Valley is actually on the site of an old tin mine. So I really want to create that because I like the imagery of kind of like the community element that the tin mines brought to Cornwall. So this is a bit of a failed spread. I would say this is I said previously this was the worst spread, but I think this is actually my worst spread. It was me trying to put in little bits that I picked up whilst we were in the Lost Gardens of Heligan, which is a garden. So I put in a couple of postcards, shows the map of the gardens, and this is where the kind of sculptures, garden sculptures. I just don't think it works too well, really. I think I've made a lot of progress in terms of the urban sketching side of things and getting my materials that I use, and I'm being really happy with what I use. But in terms of the travel journaling side, being able to incorporate little bits and bobs that you pick up, like receipts or flyers and things like that, and make it look really pretty, I'm still working on that. So that was a bit of a fail. And then I tried to do like a combination of everything from that day. So that was the lunch that we had, a scarecrow that we saw. This is like a little grating that we saw on the floor, a fountain, a few flowers, and like a birdhouse. And I tried to do it in pinks and purples because I thought it'd be quite fun. It's not too bad, but it didn't really turn out how I envisaged in my head. So I was a bit disappointed with that one. Again, this is going back to that garden sculpture, so it looks like a sleeping woman. I use these again with neocolors. Again, this wasn't done on location. This was done back at the bungalow afterwards. It's okay. I'm not 100% happy with it. It's quite a good idea for a spread, but I don't think it fully kind of took off. So this is an abandoned church that is pretty close to where we were staying. I just thought it was really cool because it's just like the ruins of this church in the middle of this graveyard and almost like in a little bit of woodland. I just thought it was so pretty. So this is just using brush markers. So I've used some green and brown brush markers here as well, and I just did a Bible verse there. It's a nice spread actually. I'm quite pleased with how this is probably one of my favourite spreads from that holiday. And then these ones I finished off actually once we got home. So we visited an aquarium down in Newquay. I'm really pleased with how this turtle turned out. If you watch the vlog from Cornwall, the image of the turtle swimming in the aquarium was pretty cool. And we've got an axolotl and a little pufferfish, Nemo, lobster, and kind of a catfish there. So yeah, it's a nice spread, and I think this is Posca marker in the background to make it pop that little bit more. And then this one, we went to another nature place where we saw penguins, red pandas, parrots, squirrel, flamingo, another type of bird I can't remember. Again, this is Posca marker in the background, make it pop. I really do like this spread with the animals. I'm really pleased with how the animals turned out. But I wish I'd been able to do a bit more on location. But that is the realities of having a baby. We're keeping it real on this channel, people. We're keeping it real. And this was just finishing off with a few more postcards that I picked up on the holiday. And then I think there's like just a little piece of like stone that I picked up. Again, trying to make it look a bit more travel journey vibe. Again, it doesn't really pull off how I wanted it to pull off, because I got these postcards because they look sketchy-fied. And then this is the Isle of Wight holiday. Now you will see, I hope you see, the total contrast. I think this is where I finally found my groove in urban sketching and plein air. I was comfortable in the supplies that I was using, and knowing the realities and limitations of trying to do urban sketching in plein air with a baby in tow. But please go and watch this vlog if you haven't, because again, at the end there's a full list of all the supplies that I use, but also you'll see me doing all of these pieces. So this was when we first got off the ferry onto the island. This is a sticker here. And this was a quick piece that I did whilst we were sheltering in a bus shelter, because it wasn't great weather when we first got there, but the rest of the week was absolutely amazing weather. This is the only piece from this holiday that I didn't do on location. This was in the caravan where we were staying when we got back, because this is one of the mallard ducks that was on the pond. On the site where we were staying, there was a lovely lake near to our caravan, and this was a mallard duck that was there. So I did do this back at the caravan that evening. It wasn't done on location, but all the rest were. But still, I do love this duck. Again, maybe a possible sticker, let me know. So this was in Ventnor, And this was the view from the pub where we had lunch. Beautiful view. And then over here, we had a ploughman's with a side of cheesy chips, and it was a pirate themed pub. So there was a little rook and little pirate flags. This is like the Jolly Roger, and like a ring, a safety ring, life ring. Can't remember what they're called. But yeah, it was a nice idea for a spread. Again, I'm not 100% happy with this view, but I did it in the pub with people looking. And again, props to me. I'm going to give myself props for that, because it's a scary thing to sketch and paint outdoors with people looking. So it took a lot of courage, and also trying to do it with a baby sat next to me. So we bribed him with food, so he was okay. So that was fun. This is one we went to the Isle of Wight Steam Railway. This is probably my least favourite spread from the holiday. Again, I tried that pink and purple. I've seen other people do it, and I can't seem to pull it off for some reason. I am happier with it than the other spread. So that's the steam train we had a ride on, and I was sitting in a little shelter again where we had lunch. Hubby took little man off to the park to have a play on the swing, so I was able to get some sketching done. So that's a sign, and one of the little kind of lampposts from the station, and these were our tickets that I've just washi taped in. Again, trying to get that travel journal element to it. And this is Osborne House. So these are two different locations on Osborne House, but I think it makes a new spread together. So Osborne House is, it looks like it could be in the Mediterranean, and that's obviously the style that it was going for. So this is Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's home when they were on the Isle of Wight. It was actually designed by Prince Albert himself, and this is actually the place where Queen Victoria died. She found a lot of solace here when after Prince Albert died. So I'm really pleased with how this turned out. Again, this is eco line markers. So it is more beigey than it is in person. In person, it's more kind of yellowy, honey coloured. But I'm still pleased with how it turned out. It pops against the green. Again, do it on location was pretty scary. And then if you go, so this is at the top, and then if you walk down the green, they have their own private beach. And this is where we had lunch, and we sat under the tree for quite a few hours, actually. Little man had a little bit of a nap, and he had a play on the grass with the ball. And so this was the scene from where we were sitting on our picnic bench. I could see the beaches down there, and I've got the sea and a few boats. Again, this is using mostly eco-line markers. I did a little bit of neocolor over the top. There was lots of little flowers, so I tried to use a white Posca pen to kind of do some little dots. And it did look lovely until I closed the sketchbook before it was fully dried. So that's why we had this big blob pit. But, you know, we just work with it, we style it out. And again, it took a lot of confidence from me to do it out and about. So I'm pleased that I managed to do it. And then this is my favourite spread. So this is Appledurkham House, which looks like a really grand manor house, which it is. But actually, on the flip side, on the back of this, is completely ruined. So the house is not habitable at all. So at the front, it looks really grand. At the back, it is just ruined. But because it's just ruined, it's great because people just go there for picnics and just to sit in the grounds. Totally free to visit if you're on the Isle of Wight. Please go and have a see it, because you have to see it to believe it. So again, I just sat under a tree and I just sketched this from start to finish. So I used luminance pencils. As you can see, I didn't do my signature black outline, and for once I'm actually happy not to have done it. Most of the time I think, oh, it's missing that, but today I think on this it worked without it. I think I started with a blue outline and then went over it in grey because I just wanted it a little bit darker. But yep, and I used eco-line markers with neocolors. And actually, sometimes I actually find, so you can also activate the neocolor 2s with the eco-line marker. So sometimes I'll do a base of the neocolors and then go over the top with the eco-line markers. And because they're alcohol markers, obviously they have some liquid in them, and that activates the water-soluble element of the neocolors. And the two together, I think, gives a really good effect. And that's what I used over here. And it, from my perspective, it looks like I've used watercolours, but I haven't. And it's so much more practical when you're travelling around, especially with a baby. I can't be having a little pot of water for watercolours. Obviously, you can get those water pens, which I do have in my kit. But, you know, obviously they run out and things like that. But I think to have water-soluble elements that you can just activate with alcohol markers is so much more effective. And then again, I use, to more effective this time, a few dots of those white Posca pens, just to give the element illusion of some flowers there. But yeah, I'm really very happy with this spread. I think it shows a real growth from the start. From that very first one, let's go back. From that very first one, when I'm trying to, you know, I really didn't get any tonal value there at all. Whereas here, I'm really pleased with, you know, obviously the branches here going over the front of the house. Really, really pleased. And this was completely done, start to finish, outside. I didn't have to take it back to the place where we were staying to finish it off. And that is a real achievement for me. And that might not seem a big deal to some people, but for me, that was a really big deal and a real confidence boost. And then this was on the way home. This was a really quick drawing that I did of Buckler's Hard in the New Forest. So after we were back on the mainland. So it's not, again, not one of my best works, but it was done super, super quickly because the weather was kind of turning not so great again. So again, I did this from a picnic bench from where we had lunch. I think this only took me like 5 minutes because that's all we could do before little man needed to go and have a nap. And this is done with watercolours and just a fine liner. So that's all I use, just watercolours and fine liner. So not many supplies. And yeah, for what it is good. So this is the end of the sketchbook now. So this is Nick Davis' tent. So this was last weekend. And this, I think I showed me doing this one. I was just sat in one of our chairs whilst little man had a nap. And I just sketched the big top itself. Obviously, cut out the portaloos. Didn't really fit myself. That's the good thing about doing plein air. You can kind of Photoshop out the elements that you don't want. But I'm really good how I managed to get the tonal values of the tent. Again, this is just using neocolors and fine liner. That's all I've used, and maybe a few pencils here just to do the grass. But yeah, I was really pleased with. As you can see, I'm really getting the hang of the neocolors now. I'm getting to how when I activate it with the water, how I can get more tonal values and shading. And it just takes practice, actually. Again, with the trees as well, I'm just going over it with a little bit of fine liner, but you can see there is different tonal values. It's not just one blanket color. And then this is, we went to a talk. I think it's by themission.org. I will tag them down below because they're a great charity that helps orphans, predominantly in Mexico, but I think they're in Hungary as well. I'll tag them down below. I heard a talk from them. It's actually the second time I've heard a talk by them. This was a freebie sticker that they gave out. And then I didn't actually have a notebook with me because I didn't expect to get to any talks with a baby, but he was having a nap, so he managed to get into one talk. So I jotted down some notes, and then I just started doodling around it. I finished this off in the tent, big top, whilst we listened to worship. And yeah, so just with some brush pens to colour it in and a fine liner. So a really, really simple spread, but actually, again, this is me finding my groove a little bit more with the travel element of adding in notes, but looking at making the spread look pretty. So again, this was a real step forward for me. So I've got my notes, but it looks really pretty in the sketchbook. So I'm really pleased with that one. With this one, you can see this is my feet on our picnic blanket, and I just sketched a few people that I saw that stood out to me in the big top whilst we were listening to worship. So there was this guy, it must have been his birthday, he had a little party hat on. There was this lady with some beautiful worship flags that really kept my little boy entertained. The band playing there and a couple of other people. I found it quite challenging how to represent the amount of people there, the crowd. I don't think I necessarily achieved that. But again, I'm proud of myself for trying. And then I just used the Winsor & Newton inks again, just to kind of I used elements of the colour. So the flags were red and yellow, her trousers were blue, our picnic blanket was red, the big top was blue, the lights were purple. So I've used elements of the colours that I saw, and obviously they've all intermingled together because I really saturated the page before. These pages can really take a lot of liquid, so I'd highly recommend this sketchbook for that, for mixed media. And yeah, I'm really happy with how it's actually turned out. I think it's quite an expressive piece. It's quite loose, and that's what I'm trying to do in my art. I'm trying to loosen up a little bit more. So yeah, I'm happy with how this one turned out. And again, trying to get the hang of that travel journaling spread element. So this is a spread that I did with some of the things that I collected from David's tent. It's a game of two halves. So over here, this was taken from the program that we got given. So it's 72 hours of non-stop worship. That's what David's tent is. And I have just written over the top some worship lyrics from I Speak Jesus, the worship song, and a little flower that I cut off of a leaflet. And I've washed it with just some paint, just to kind of dull down the background, and write over the top with a white Posca. So quite simple, but I'm really happy with how that came together. And I did something similar over here, but with pink. So this was a leaflet that I got from one of the artists that was exhibiting there. Again, this is a leaflet from that mission charity. This was actually our wristband that we had to wear throughout it. And then this is just a Bible verse from Ephesians. And then I've done a pink wash over the top to kind of like tie it all together. And as you can see, I think I am starting to get the hang of a bit more travel journaling. I'm excited to experiment with that more. To make it look pretty, to record because I wanted to record the little bits that we got, not just the urban sketching and the plein air, but also the travel journaling elements of our weekend. And I think this spread came together really lovely. And then at the end, I was just finishing off the sketchbook. And these are, full disclosure, I didn't do these at David's tent. These are some old postcard pieces that I've done many years ago, actually, but I just wanted to put them on the last page. So this is Glastonbury Abbey, and this is Burnham, two places that are very close to me here in Somerset. And this is a sticker that I made of my Zentangle leopard. You can get this as a sticker on my shop if you're interested. But these are just watercolours with pencil over the top. And actually, I put this in as mainly inspiration. So these weren't done on location. They were done from photographs once I got home. But do you ever get that where you create art and you're like, and then many years later you look back at it, maybe you don't appreciate that art at the time, but many years later you come back and you think, actually, that was really good. I wish I could sketch like that again. And this was how I used to sketch back actually when I was at college. As you can see, there's no dark outlines here actually, which is quite interesting, but this was all done with watercolor pencils and watercolors. So very limited supplies again, but I'm really happy, just the shadowing under the pier there. So this is my inspiration for my next sketchbook, because I'm actually jumping straight into a new sketchbook. We're off to Cornwall again in a couple of weeks' time. I really want to have a more successful Cornwall art trip. We are going with a baby again and my parents. So there's going to be a lot of us. I don't know how much time I'm going to get, but there's an art shop. I follow them on Instagram. I really want to go there, purchase a sketchbook from them, and see what I can get done down there. So I'm going to record it. So that will be coming up soon. So if you don't want to miss that, hit the notification bell. And we'll jump straight in. I'm using these postcards as inspiration, and I really want to see if I can start creating art like this, but actually on location, because I'm really happy with the progress that I made. But I want to keep pushing myself forward. So that is the completed sketchbook. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for following my journey and continuing to follow my journey. And And if you haven't watched any of those videos where I created those spreads, please go back and have a look. Like I said, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please comment down below any questions. I will link as many of the supplies down below as I can, again, with all these artists and anything else I've mentioned in this video. Yeah, thank you for joining me. God bless. Love you. Bye.